Friends, I am genuinely excited about today's episode because this conversation is all about what lights you up and how to actually feel fun again in your life. Doesn't that sound great? My guest today is Whitney Baker, and she doesn't just talk about joy or creativity on sort of a surface level. She lives it. And Whitney has such a grounded and refreshing way of helping us reconnect with the things that energize us, excite us, and make us more like ourselves again. In this episode, we'll dig into how to start noticing what lights you up, especially if you've sort of been in go, go, go mom mode for so long. And Whitney will share practical, doable strategies to help you bring more spark into your everyday life. Nothing complicated, just real ways to invite more fun, aliveness, and intention right back in. This conversation is equal parts inspiring and actionable. And I know you're going to leave thinking very differently about joy and maybe even giving yourself a little permission to follow it. Are you ready? Let's get to it. All right, working moms, I cannot wait for you to listen in on this interview that I am about to have with Whitney Baker. She's my new best friend. She's the founder of Electric Ideas, where she helps modern women, especially moms, reconnect with their inner spark and feel alive in their own life. And I can't even begin to say how important I think this topic is for us as women. We tend to get so lost in the day-to-day life as a mom and taking care of others. Like, when is that moment where we reconnect with ourselves, our joy, and what lights us up? So can't wait for this conversation. Thank you, Whitney, for being on the podcast with me today.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me, Rebecca.
Yeah. So you are a mom of two. Let's get some of the basics out of the way, right? You're a mom of two. So tell us a little bit about you and kind of what you do, family, all the things that we need to know before we jump in right here.
Sure. Yeah. What can I tell you? I live in Chicago. I have two junior high girls. So I'm kind of in this interesting phase of my motherhood work mix journey where they don't need me as much in person, but they need me more than ever in some ways.
I know. I can't even imagine that. I'm not there yet.
Yeah. And from a work, I love that your audience is working moms because this has been like a decade. Actually, basically, my oldest is 13. Since she's born, I think I have tried every iteration of the work-life balance possible. And I feel like I can speak into every situation. And so I'm just excited to connect with your community.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so I would love to kick us off by talking about kind of how you got into this electric ideas kind of world, right? I love that term. I would love to hear more about what that even means to you and really, what it looked like for you to kind of reconnect with your own electric idea, your own spark, as you like to say. So can you share a little bit of your story in that journey?
Yeah. So I guess I will take us back in time to when I had my, yes, right?
There we went.
Cue the music. I love it. I would take us back in time. So I was working in a global marketing and PR agency in a creative role. So on paper, it was kind of a glitzy city job. I worked in the Hancock building and I had my first daughter and I really just did not know what I was getting into, as none of us, nobody can prepare. You can read the books. But I knew that I wanted to contribute outside the home, and had a master's degree and I was invested. So I went back to work full time, and lo and behold, I got pregnant very soon after and ended up having my daughters 14 months apart. And that was quite a whammy, as everybody who's listening can imagine.
Yeah.
So
a bunch of us just went, oh my gosh. Can't even imagine. Yeah.
So I just really fell into this. I didn't have the words for it now, but I really, really flipped into this overfunctioning autopilot, stressed out mode of version of myself. And here I thought I would be a trailblazer. So I worked with my global company and I was nervous because agencies, they say it's kind of like working dog lives, like or dog years. It's a pretty demanding, high-paced environment. And so I negotiated 4 days and I thought that was going to feel better. After my second daughter, I mean, it was still too much. So here I decided, okay, I'm just going to ask. All we can do is ask. I didn't know any woman who'd ever gone down to 3 days, but I was willing to just ask. And I was nervous. And they said yes. So here I thought, oh my God, I'm a trailblazer. I found this holy grail. I'm going to do it all. Going to find this mythical balance that we all look for. And it was awful. That version of me had no boundaries, had none of the skills I know now. And I was just trying to take calls with a baby on my hip, get them both down. I wasn't able to do the jobs I wanted to do because I wasn't client facing enough, but I felt like I was failing in both places.
Yeah, across the board, right? And I think that's so common because we think that working less hours or getting some sort of more flexible schedule is going to be the solution on some level, and I think it is for some companies in some ways. I don't want to discount that, but for like the ambitious, driven kind of woman, all that means is we fit the 40-hour work week into 30 hours ish, or we take the extra 10 hours and it bleeds out into our personal time instead. And then we feel like we're failing because we're never doing enough across any way. So I mean, I think
and
that
we're getting paid less.
and we're getting paid less to do it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it's the wrong option. It is for some people, but we also have to have like a realistic understanding of what it takes to do that well.
Yes.
Otherwise it just bites us in the end, right? To your point.
Yes. And that version of me wasn't equipped at all.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just so eager to prove that I still had it and I could still, get on, pitch clients the next day and be on my A game. I was in a very different mode. So eventually I hit a burnout point, which was really hard and I quit. But within a week of quitting, I was putting an insane amount of pressure on myself, if I'm being honest, to begin freelancing. I was updating my resume, putting it out. I didn't have any language or knowledge about a power pause or designing your life. I'm glad these conversations are starting to come up now. I just felt like I was going to lose my footing immediately in the professional world, and I didn't want to. So I've forgiven that version of myself. We don't know better. We can only learn.
Yep.
But during that time, I also started to come up for air a little bit. My daughter started to go into, preschool a couple hours. I'm sure you remember when it was like, oh my God, I got the 2.25 hours and I have 17 things. What's gonna win the lottery today of my attention?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, totally.
But I did start to come up for air a little bit. And I realized I'd abandoned a lot of pieces of myself in that time. I realized, I'd always had a soulful side. I'd always had a super creative writing and creative honoring side that when I was working with creative in my role, in my job title, I didn't have any juice left for anything playful and personal and creative. And it was really a time of reinvention. And I finally, well, I'll let you chime in, but it just was really a mirror time for me. So I'll pause there because I know that's a lot.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and it's I don't think everybody has to get to the low of the low to make the change. Ideally, that's why you hire a coach or you do something before you ever get to that point, right? But sometimes that's what's required for us in our humanness. Get to the low of the low, and then if we segue into what led into kind of the electric ideas and kind of the spark that you talk about, what happened there?
Yeah. So I started giving myself permission just to reclaim those parts of me that I'd not done. I took a writing class for fun. right? Not because I
Wait,
needed
wait,
to
wait.
deliver.
For fun?
Yes,
For
for
fun?
fun.
I
Yes,
know. What? What's
yes,
that? That's
right?
crazy. Okay.
I I just started doing things like that, but I will tell you because you mentioned coach. So I had never heard of this whole coaching world. And I
Yes, yes.
happened to be at a talk and I heard this woman talking about coaching and I felt frustrated because out of the gate I wasn't getting the perfect freelance, they call it like permalance, like these nice long
Yeah.
juicy opportunities. So I thought a career coach would
Yeah.
help me, find these better opportunities, right? So finally,
Okay.
I hired someone. Thank my lucky stars, she also was kind of like a career life visionary. And as she started giving me these assignments, like basic things like go, okay, I'm sure we've all heard the advice, like find the companies and then like, and my energy was just like down. Like every time I'm just like, ugh, it was
Ugh,
like
sounds
punishing.
terrible. Yeah.
And yeah. And finally she was like, do you even want these opportunities? And I was like, no.
No, I don't. Yeah. I love that. I love the
I,
honesty there.
yes. And I think that it's really hard. I think that motherhood's a portal and it's an initiation. And sometimes it's like we realize things we've been long committed to and ways of being are just not important to us anymore.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for me, I call that like the motherhood identity crisis that hits a lot of moms, right? The moment you start having kids and you're like, what the heck am I doing with my life? Is this what I even want to be doing? Who am I anymore? What even like lights me up, And once you kind of finally come up from air from the sleep deprivation and the constant feeding and all the things, and you're like, wow, life kind of kept going while I was gone. I wonder I wonder where I fit in. That's the motherhood identity crisis. And so many moms experience that. Maybe every mom does on some level, and for some it's like just really intense for them, right? It feels so different. Life feels so different and their goals feel so different and what they connect with feels so different, that it's very confusing and it makes you feel really lost during that
Oh,
time.
absolutely. I called it my murky middle, but I can only call that now because I didn't have the words. At the time, I was just in this quiet confusion. I felt deeply grateful that I had the privilege of having worked for so long and saved enough and having the stability of a partner that I could have a little bit of this opportunity to pause or shift or rethink. So that guilt kept me quiet. I was like, who am I to want
Mm.
more?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so at some point, you reconnected with the spark. What happened
Yes.
there?
Yes. Well, so in parallel path, I was exploring my own creativity. I've always been kind of a spiritual seeker, and I started getting very much into meditation. And I will tell you that it's a practice that really transformed my life and gave me a sense of spaciousness of like what really matters and being able to like pull back, like look at things from a way, way, way higher perspective. As I slowly healed from that rat race nervous system sense of being that I didn't even realize I was on. And I started, reclaiming my own creativity and feeling my essence and like just feeling like myself again, not constantly under this like pressure cooker mode. I was like, what are we doing to women right now? Electric Ideas was born out of this knowing that there is a different way to contribute to the world. And I only know now because I've researched and discovered it and followed this calling and this knowing that I think that we're working in a lot of outdated structures and cultural expectations that were never built for women, especially moms, to thrive in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt that and wanted to change that. And it's been so far my life's work for the last several years.
Yeah. So what does electric ideas even mean to you?
Yeah, yeah. So when I began, it's kind of that moment of aha that sparks a possibility.
Yeah.
I think we move, especially as women, we move on such like, got to get this done. We're driven by our, our calendars, our to-dos as moms. It's just like we're putting out fires reactively. When we pause and we have the visceral, like, whoa, I can operate differently.
Yeah.
Separately, as my work just becomes deeper and deeper to me, I think at like a more profound layer, I see it as like truly believing that when we are fueled from the inside out, we're able to contribute at a higher level. And that's the biggest pivot. People talk about self-care as like a bubble bath or whatever. And it's like, no, when we really deeply tend to ourselves, we can reach our potential.
Yeah. Yeah. How do women connect with this kind of inside out fuel, right? This spark that's within them. What are some thoughts or ideas on how to help women do that?
Great. Yeah, well, we can talk all through the December about these ideas. But one thing I guess I'll say that might feel fresh for your listenership, because I know there's so many women who are juggling and straddling and ambitious, and they want to be a present mother and they want to be a fulfilled, career woman as well.
Yeah.
We can all raise our hand that we're tired, like women are tired. However, we've all had those weekends where hopefully we're like, okay, we're intentionally, no plan is the plan. We're going to chill. We're going to rest. Okay. I'm all for intentional rest. However, that doesn't make you feel lit up and energized. And so
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that most of what I teach is connecting with yourself and creating rhythms that allow you rest, but also that allow you to feel energized and lit up and
Mm,
inspired.
yeah.
So it's
Just
that combination.
I feel like this is a kind of a funny question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you think it even means to be lit up? I think so many women lose that spark, right? And they lose sight of what that even means to connect with that spark. So how would you describe that lit up
Yeah.
experience, if you will?
So many women are driven by the doing, going, juggling. And if you look at the root word of inspired, it literally means to be in spirit. So when you think about it that way, we all know when we're in a state of play, we're in a state of flow. And there's ease and there's energy. And that's what we want to share. I feel like, unfortunately, in the land of shoulds ruling our lives as working moms, that just doesn't naturally happen. We almost have to cultivate that intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sure do. I and I think there's the the light up experience is something that's happening on the inside of you, right? It's not
Mhm.
something that's happening on the outside. It's inspiring the things that you do, but it's not the things that you do, which is, I think, a really clear delineation on some level. Like it's an inside, internal body experience, right? So for me, when I start to think about things that light me up, I literally feel a very different sensation, like pulsing through my body, than I do when I'm productive, for example, which also can have its own energy and its own drive and its own satisfaction. But I think that lit up spark that you're talking about is really a difference of like body. It's like a different vibrational experience in our body. That's how we know that we're lit up, right? And we're going to connect with it on all sorts of levels. Like there's a different pace to the light up than there is in other, in other things that drive us and motivate us.
I think that's exactly right, Rebecca. I mean, just that visceral sense, that embodied sense.
Yeah. So good.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to circle back to like what can women do to try to reconnect with that? What does that look like to reconnect with that?
Sure.
Or
So
define it all new, to be honest. Like sometimes it's like a brand new your spark might be way different than it was prior to motherhood. That's great. But how do we
permission
find it
for
again?
both. Yeah. And I'll definitely speak into both. So it's funny. I've for years have taught this 6-week program with different kind of a different theme every week. And I do one on kind of this like play and
Mm,
spark. And it's the hardest one for moms. It,
really?
it's
Oh,
the hardest one for
that's
moms
so
because
interesting.
it's so interesting. There's a small assignment, and it's part of a tool I'll share. and it's called a delight date. And all that means is you have to schedule a half an hour during that week and do something that's not attached to outcome, that brings a sense of wonder, childlike play, go crunch on some leaves. It can't be something that's in your normal routine, like, okay, I'm just going to do my yoga class, Like it has to be something kind of novel. Uh,
Yeah.
every 50% of the moms are like, yeah, I did that kind of, but I brought my kid because I thought that that's the only other rule. You have to do it by yourself. It's just for yourself.
Oh my goodness.
Women
That feels
struggle
so challenging.
so much, and it's 30
Yeah.
minutes. It's because we've been taught as adults that play feels frivolous. And really, when we're talking about that inspired energy, like think about you telling your child to put away her backpack. Maybe that's the only a problem in my house, but think about you being in a playful state or an inspired state because you created that spark for yourself, and then facing kind of these small things that every mom has and and handling it playfully because you have that energy to share, or being the mom that's trying to get that last thing done, heads down, crunching on her assignment, whatever, her work, they come in the door and moving from a not playful place. I mean, it really
Mhm.
has a ripple into our
Yeah.
work and our family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think scheduling a delight date, but sometimes women have such struggle with that I've
Mhm.
made it even easier. I think planned spontaneity is a strategy.
Okay. Ooh, tell me more. Planned spontaneity.
Yes. So women are so used to ruling the household and man, I don't want to be presumptuous, but it's like we get small chunks of time. And instead of being like, sweet, I'm going to sip my tea and relax on the couch, we'll be like, oh, okay, I've got 20 minutes. What can I get done? That's like a reflex for a lot of modern moms, especially
Absolutely.
working women.
Yeah.
So instead of putting this forced, like, I'm going to go play pickleball randomly at 10 a.m. because I have a meeting break, fine. Okay, if you can't get your head around that, fine. Put a pocket of time on your calendar, just carve it out and treat it the same way you would treat your meetings. And when it comes to that time, say what sounds fun. Ask yourself, check in with yourself that day. And fun doesn't have to look like ha ha fun. I mean, fun for me sometimes is like walking through a plant store leisurely and not feeling a lick of guilt about it.
Oh, yeah. 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 I take a bath in the middle of the day.
I do that all the
What?
time and love it. Yes.
Yes, in the middle of your day. That's
Yes.
craziness to some people. Maybe it's taking a nap in the middle of your day for that matter. I don't know.
Totally. Or, reading your novel before nighttime. Nobody ever said that you could only read at night. That's the sort of thing
Yeah.
that
Read a
it just
magazine that has nothing to do with anything. It's the trashiest thing that has
yes.
terrible news in it, but it's like a guilty pleasure by all means.
I feel like you can like that's the just removing the should, removing the
Yeah.
outcome, not needing to tell anybody about it. But
Yeah.
I'm all about energy management,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and when you see sometimes when you treat that spark, you tend to that spark, it ends up giving you more energy to do all the things you think you want to buzz around and do. And you're happier.
I'm yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm fascinated by this idea of like we talk a lot about rest as and the need for rest. Obviously as a coach, I talk a lot about that with women and so forth. And the need to like not be productive. That's kind of what I mean by rest, like purely literally letting those synaptics in your brain calm down, to not think so hard, to sleep a full night, whatever it is. Super important for us to kind of function at an optimal level. I love the idea that so is like following spontaneity and fun. That also rests our brain in a different way, because you by doing almost any of those things, you're shifting from one side of your brain to the other one, the one that's in super overdrive and productivity and results focus. Like when you're doing something fun for the sake of fun, it is not, you are moving into a different part of your brain. So you're letting the productive part of your brain rest for a while. You're lighting up a different part of your brain. It brings you energy in a different way so that when you return, this is the same thing that happens with rest, right? And so when you return to daily life and all of the responsibilities and tasks that you have, there's a completely different motivation, drive, energy, positivity, all sorts of things that come with that, right? And so I love that there's so many ways that we can do that. I mean, this is a challenge for me too. So I just love this idea. So good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I know you have a lot of ambitious women in your community, and I'm guessing that they might, some of them fall into that like, this
I would say,
this is
I know,
hitting me, but I can't really see myself doing it.
I know, I know. So
The
good.
more I work with like groups of women and companies, the more I really have to get them to come over to the side of me understanding that I also was a creative at a company and
Mm,
that ideas aren't normally your best and brightest ideas don't usually happen when your head's down at your computer. They need
mhm.
marination.
It's
And
why
they
we have the
need
best ideas in the shower. This is why
yes,
where this comes from, right? Or we
yes.
have the best ideas when we're playing in the leaves or when we're doing something, yeah, fun or creative. Absolutely.
And I'll also say for all the women who are heads down working at home, because I know there's so much like gray area. I've gone out for my little delight dates or whatever, and I've bumped into a neighbor. I've talked to someone at a store, and I've ended up having some interesting connection that I could have never come across if I was just like heads down in the name of getting stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. This is not the same thing, but it's reminding me of this. I just had a one of my cohort calls. So I run a program called Ambitious and Balanced, and so we had a call yesterday. She was talking about how challenging it is when her kids get silly, and she's just like, "Will you just please put on your shoes instead of clucking like a chicken?" you know. And so we were talking about this kind of irritation that comes up regularly, and so at the end of this kind of coaching moment with her, I challenged her to get silly with her kids. I was like, what if instead of trying to move them past these moments, you had 10 seconds of embracing it, right? So if they cluck like a chicken, you cluck like a chicken for 10 minutes, right? Because she has two young boys, she's like, if your boys start burping and try to out burp each other at the dinner table, like you're like, hey, let's all have a burping contest. We're all going to go around once and then we're going to be done, right? But you participate in the silliness of what your kids are going to do. She looked at me like I was speaking like a completely different language. She's like, I can't even imagine myself doing. I'm like, I know. That's what's so great. I thought it was delightful. She embraced it. She was like, I'm really gonna try and I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna report how it goes because I see the benefit of it. But yes, it takes us getting out of this like box that we put ourselves in, and the responsibility and the controlledness that we feel like we need in order to be successful, productive, move things along, joyful, whatever it is, right? And getting out of that and like tapping into some other energies that light us up.
Yeah. I love all of that. And I'm glad that you challenge that. You know, I think kids can bring up weird rules that we've absorbed along the way.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel like the healthiest thing, I can only speak to my own household, but I think the healthiest part of my motherhood is when I'm feeling disconnected or I feel like somebody just feels like they're giving me the grump or like not listening or whatever. Instead of doubling down, trying to get into that controller mode, which is the worst version of myself for me. And I'm very aware of that. And it doesn't feel good. And it's not fun for me. I don't want to parent that way. I look for something to do that's around play and
I
lightness
love
and connection.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And
Which
that's
probably
huge.
looks very different for your kids in middle school than it does
Right.
for
Right.
kids that are toddlers, right? But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I wish I would have understood that. I think it
Mm,
was more natural to me, but that has been a pattern interrupt.
yeah, I love that. I my husband studied improv.
Mm.
Something I probably never shared on the podcast before. So some of my listeners know that I have a theater degree. So I have a musical theater degree, performance. It's what I did many years ago, whatever. Married a husband that also did the same thing. Neither one of us do that now, though of course those skill sets came in handy all throughout our adulthood and will continue. But he really loved improv, and the one rule of improv is that you always say yes. So you always accept what somebody says to you, no matter how strange it is. So you say yes and then you build on it. And so that's where it gets funny, is when somebody in improv offers something like outrageous and you're like, yes, I agree with you. And it builds on it, right? So there's like this yes and mentality that I want, working moms to have. Your kids offer to you something they want to do, something you have no desire to do, some like an invitation to participate with them in something that isn't necessarily your jam, or you're like in a work mode and so you want to do something else, but the answer is yes. And it's like, yes, I will do it. And to challenge this kind of, it like circles around cluck like a chicken, join the burp contest, right? It's like, or play Uno when your kid asks to play Uno, or read to them even if it's inconvenient. Or for my kids right now, it's like, will you come out and play soccer? I got 10 minutes. Let's do it, right? Like it's a yes mentality that gets us, again, kind of gets us out of this very narrow one side of our brain and into opening up like it's opening up possibilities for who knows what, joy, fun, ideas, new adventures, like memories. We don't know what's going to come until we start saying yes to some of that.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I love
There's a
bringing that.
there's a third challenge I just offered right there. A yes
Yes. Yes,
challenge.
and no, I like it. And you brought up some really interesting things for me. Like part of it, I feel like now that you know that I've done the whole 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, intentional pause, free. Mom guilt plays around no matter
Doesn't
where.
matter. Yeah.
I will say, like another just lesson that I've learned is 10 minutes of total focus goes way farther than you would ever think. So many moms are like, oh, the statistics bear out. I'm sure you've seen them, that we as a generation are spending way more time with our parents or with our
Our
children
kids, yeah.
than previous generations.
Yes, absolutely. Way
And we're
more.
also working way more.
And we feel more guilt
And we feel more
about
guilt
it.
about everything.
Yeah.
I
It's wild.
A timer was my best friend when I had younger kids. And it
Absolutely.
sounds silly, but it was just like, okay, I'll do whatever you want, but I'm going to do this for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to do my work and I'm going to let you see me doing my work and you can join me or not, or you can keep going. And it really like just that, but you have to be in that energetic state, kind of like what you were saying. So we have to be aware of our energy. So we're even open to that.
Yeah, I agree. I think timers are really helpful, particularly for us. It's not like we're saying say yes to something that's going to take hours away from your time. I mean, maybe be open to it if you have the space to do that. But most of us don't. We still have lists to do or work to do or whatever it is. Fine. Set a really intentional amount of like container of space that you are saying yes to this thing. And whether you need a timer, or for my kids, I'm usually, before I start something, super clear with how long I have to do it, so that like I know, my brain knows that I'm not going to do this forever. I'm going to get back to whatever I was doing before. My kids know, and they have a set up expectation of it. Like timers and containers of time are magic when it comes to some of those things, and really helps our type A brain allow us to like have a moment where we're not being productive because we know we're going to get back to productivity, but it still gives us that space, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I love that.
I agree.
So we've been talking so much about like reconnecting with your own spark and the things that light you up, and, talking through some of those tools. Sometimes these sparks lead to much bigger changes or much bigger ideas. I assume that yours kind of led you into where you headed into your business. Can you share, you could share a little bit about your own experience with that, but also like where do you see these, like when you reconnect with your spark, where do you see it go for women? And it's like, kind of like, why does it even matter to reconnect with this in the first place?
Hmm. Thank you. What a beautiful question, and something I've been thinking about a lot. I think that as modern women and moms, we were sold a bag of goods that we could do it all. And like we've briefly touched on, the expectations of motherhood and culturally and the way workforces are structured
Yeah.
are really not in a place that support us doing it
Yeah.
all without entering complete depletion. So I think it's a radical choice to choose your own energy and attention and decide that you are going to design your life instead of just respond or assume. I and so that's where that shift comes. It's really has to almost be felt like when you decide that you are not willing to routinely sacrifice your well-being in order to be a mother, in order to contribute your gifts to the world professionally. It's a big shift. And I think that that's what I'm calling for women, but it's not selfish. It's truly a generous act. Because we've talked about this. It's generous because it allows you to be grounded and whole in the most important job in the world as a mother. And it's generous because we need women at every table, in every room, of every company, every off, everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if women are burnout and can't contribute from their area of genius, we're missing out. We're missing ideas. We're missing the intelligence and the creativity of women. So I'm really calling on this shift. I think it's essential.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about it from like a societal, cultural level, right? I have something similar where I like that really motivates me in the work that I do and like closing the leadership gap at the top and seeing more women in leadership and seeing the power of more diversity at the top. What I know is required is that we're supporting women at the moment that they start having kids
Hmm.
because that is where their trajectory drops. I mean, we see it statistically, and 1/3 of women change jobs, leave jobs, pull back in their career. 1/3 of them within the first 18 months of starting to have kids. It's a huge amount of women that shift and we lose their trajectory at the top. And to your point, like the more women that feel sparked and feel alive with their own ideas and their own creativity and their own fire, like the more we're going to see the world's going to change through that, right? We have the best ideas and we have creativity beyond belief and we problem solve in different ways and we strategically think in different ways and we're empathetic in different ways. And so we need more women to live alive within that spark that's in them, that's already exists within them, right? If they tap into it.
Yes. And we need female leaders who are willing to model
I know. Yes.
leading without exploiting themselves.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
It's I'm still dreaming and figuring this out. I don't think we're going to solve decades and decades of like cultural, political,
Yeah.
structural stuff, but I'm hopeful. And I think in the meantime, we don't want to wait for these structures. Let's all advocate. Let's get these policies changed. Let's help but also let's not have half the women who are just about to get the biggest promotion of their lives quit because
Yeah.
so that's where I stand at this immediacy, this
Yeah.
intersection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So good. Well, I we gotta ramp things up unfortunately here, but I just have loved this conversation around refining your spark. It's such an important one for us as women. I love what you do. I think it's such an important as we dive into like why it's important, right? It's so important in this world. I'm so grateful for you. If our listeners want to get connected with you, follow your work, what is the best way to find you?
Thank you. I keep it playful on Instagram. So you can come hang out there. You can find me at Whitney Woman. My website is myelectricideas.com. So there's, ways to connect with me if you've got a women's group or your company or one-on-one. And then finally, the Electric Ideas podcast is truly a life-giving area of contribution for me. So you can subscribe and check out my work there.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you didn't know, this is how we all connected. It's because I was on her podcast, and I think this one's going to come out before mine comes out on yours. So you can listen to me there, for that matter, in the coming weeks or months, whenever that comes out. But just thank you for your time. I will put all of your information in our show notes as well, so it's easy for people to click on that and find you. I'm looking you up right now on Instagram. I don't think I follow you. I want playfulness on my Instagram. Who doesn't want playfulness on their Instagram? That sounds like fun. So, working moms, if you missed it, there was a challenge for you to take yourself out on a delight date this week, or to plan some spontaneity, or to say yes to something you would not normally say yes to with your kids. All ways to spark fun, to spark adventure, to spark ideas, to find that light within you again that we know is in there and the world needs to see. So take us up on one of those challenges. And until next week, let's get to it. If you wake up most days spinning with 100 different priorities vying for your attention, then the daily Kickstart is exactly what you need. It's a simple 6-step process that helps you get your thoughts out of your head, reset your mindset, and refocus on what actually matters. It's designed to help shift you out of overwhelm and into calm, confident action before the chaos hits. This daily practice is the same tool I offer to all my clients, and it's going to show you exactly how to lead your day instead of react to it. It takes just 10 minutes a day, and the impact will ripple through everything: your mood, your energy, your presence with your kids, and how you lead at work. My clients indicate time and time again that this tool was the one that made the biggest difference for them, and I'm offering it to you totally free. You can download it by going to www.ambitiousandbalanced.com/daily-kickstart. And of course, I'll have that for you in the show notes as well. All right, working moms, let's get to it.